We're sponsored by BetterHelp. Think about the people who inspire you the most. Guess what? They don't have all the answers, but they do know how to ask for support when they need it. BetterHelp has experienced therapists ready to help you. Visit betterhelp.com/super today to get 10% off your first month. That's BetterHelp, HELP.com/super. Hey, brother! Harry James Potter, the chosen one, the boy who lived, the only known survivor of the killing curse. Someone who, with enough time, will go on to be attacked by and ultimately overcome all three of the unforgivable curses. For the Imperius Curse, though, enough time is like, what, 5 seconds? He does it immediately on his first try after a truly dark and powerful wizard puts it on him and yet just like shakes it right off.
Magic way beyond the talents of a fourth year.
That's exactly what I'm saying, Moody/Barty Crouch Jr. Exactly! Now, when it comes to Avada Kedavra and the Cruciatus Curse, we have pretty straightforward explanations as to how Harry overcomes what is otherwise such dangerous dark magic that the usage of any of them on anyone would earn you a one-way trip to Azkaban. Avada Kedavra we understand the best. Snape overheard the prophecy about the one with the powers to vanquish the Dark Lord. Then he tattle-ratted to Voldemort, who targeted the child of the woman that he loved, Snape asked Voldemort to spare Lily. Voldemort offers the chance to live, but Lily valiantly decides to die anyway and protect her son, and in doing so, hooray! Harry lives. Voldemort is defeated.
Cards to wallop, in my opinion.
My opinion too, Hagrid. My opinion too. Then, way later, Harry faces down Voldemort in the forest and dies. Or does he?
Cards to wallop, in my opinion.
Same, Hagger. Same. But then he returns. And he's one-upped his own saint-like mother in all of her holiness.
That's pathetic.
And has cast sacrificial protection not only on all of the combatants and defenders of Hogwarts, but also on he himself, the capital C-O chosen one. Harry Potter is dead by my hand, and no man alive can threaten me now. Watch! Crucio! Harry had been expecting it, knew his body would not be allowed to remain unsullied upon the forest floor. It must be subjected to humiliation, to prove Voldemort's victory. He was lifted into the air, and it took all of his determination to remain limp, yet the pain he expected did not come. Now, to be totally fair, another plausible explanation here is that the Elder Wand is now refusing to attack its true master, something I'd love to believe is true, but also not like 4 seconds ago this happened. So you just go on ahead and interpret that however you will, because I suppose if he meant to die, because he did, and is the master of the wand, then it would just actually be carrying out his own wishes, so...
Cards to wallop, in my opinion.
I like to think that the wand can talk and would, and, you know, they have a dialogue. What the heck, wand? You killed me! You meant to die! Holy a talking wand! You guys are gonna have to bleep me. Bleep. This brings us to the Imperius Curse, though. The one that Harry himself is not only capable of using, but also resisting during his very first lesson on the subject, and I think at long last, we finally understand why. Today, we explain. Hey, brother! Okay guys, some videos we make you work for the explanation, keep you all on the edge of your seat for 12 to 17 minutes, and today is not one of those days. Here is the explanation from none other than Barty Crouch Jr. himself. The Imperius Curse can be fought, and I'll be teaching you how, but it takes real strength of character, and not everyone's got it. Better avoid being hit with it if you can. Constant vigilance! He barked, and everyone jumped. Ah!
Everyone needs a shoulder to cry on.
Everybody wants a kung fu fighting. Now, I realize that this tosses a little egg on our own faces since we've actually made this very video back in 2020, and back then our argument was Harry doesn't respond well to authority.
I'm sorry, Professor. I must not tell lies.
The idea being that the voice that Harry hears when under the Imperius Curse, Harry bent his knees obediently, preparing to spring, jump onto the desk. Why though? Another voice had awoken in the back of his brain. Stupid thing to do, really, said the voice. This voice is telling him what to do, and Harry James the Chosen One Potter is his own man and does what he wants. You know, within the confines of a not-so-binding magical prophecy that details his own fate.
He must die, and Voldemort himself must do it.
While we're at it though, we probably need to address the hippogriff in the room as well, because many have theorized that this voice he's hearing is actually the almighty Voldemort, and that's how Harry can throw the curse off so easily. It's like a parcel tongue situation where Voldemort's soul gives Harry just unique powers. I don't actually agree with that explanation because this quote from Barty Crouch Jr., this explanation about how to fight the Imperius Curse is almost certainly the true and real reason. The words we need to focus on are, of course, strength of character in particular, because they are decidedly different from something like willpower or even magical strength or prowess. But you know what? Having great strength of character isn't just something that you're born with. It's something you can actually work on, which is why I'm so excited to say thank you to today's sponsor, BetterHelp. Look, we all know that Harry is truly one of a kind, but even he would attest to all of the help that he gets along the way. His support system is clutch. And honestly, actually being willing to ask my personal support system for help is a very real struggle that I have, and I'm readily working on. This was something that my therapist spotted immediately when I told her that I wanted a tattoo of Atlas holding up the sky, because that's often how I felt, holding it all up on my own. What I quickly learned is that when you ask your friends or loved ones for help, they don't see it as a burden. If anything, it can actually strengthen your relationships and work both ways. So if you're considering therapy, BetterHelp is fully online and makes therapy affordable and convenient, and they serve over 5 million people worldwide. Build your support system with BetterHelp and visit betterhelp.com/super to get 10% off your first month. That's BetterHelp, HELP.com/super. Link is in the description down below. And it's interesting, but once you start to line all of the data up, it works flawlessly across all applications.
Wicked.
First and foremost, Harry, all by himself, has strength of character, and a lot of it.
I'm the chosen one.
A point that we made in our previous video is Harry declining Draco's hand in friendship. This is a kid who has never had friends his whole life, and here is a kid who is standing at the top stair offering it to him, free of charge. Never underestimate the stairs. But no, Harry's all, I think I can sort out the right kind of wizard on my own. Thanks. This is a strong starting point for Harry, and he will only continue to build on this idea moving forward, kind of like, what is the word? What's that word again? Stairs. Even beyond that, what Harry sees in the Mirror of Erised is his family. He wants to ultimately find the Sorcerer's Stone, but not to use it. He frees Dobby. He stops Sirius and Lupin from murdering Pettigrew. He tells Cedric about the dragons. He starts an army. He buries Dobby by hand. He chooses to die and then chooses to come back and offers Voldemort a chance at remorse and then breaks the Elder Wand in the movies.
Stop it. Get some help.
Strength of character. Harry has it where other characters just don't, and yet there are other examples of this concept that you need strength of character to resist the curse at play in the books as well. The best example is probably this reasoning in reverse with Barty Crouch Jr., who, as a refresher, was smuggled out of Azkaban after just 1 year of imprisonment and then kept under the Imperius Curse by his father for 13 years. Just think about that. Barty Crouch Jr. is an undeniably powerful and dangerous wizard, and yet, even after a decade of subjection to the curse, he still can't shake it, while Harry, a 14-year-old boy who has learned about it a week ago, shakes it in under a minute. I can only imagine that, like, in class when Barty Crouch Jr. is witnessing it, he's like, holy freaking 2 bleeps in one episode. How about that? Actually, if you just want to go ahead and play that back, you didn't even need to bleep me because all I said was bleep.
Holy freaking bleep!
In my opinion.
The point is, though, it's not a matter of willpower. Barty Crouch Jr. hates his father and maintains an ironclad ambition and desire to rejoin Voldemort as soon as possible, but is stuck under the curse. Harry, on the other hand, welcomes the blissful feeling of the curse, having spent the last 3 months worrying about Wormtail's escape and Sirius's safety, his scar hurting, and the Death Eaters at the World Cup, and yet shakes it off with little to no effort. In fact, if anything, he's kind of polite about the whole thing. "No, I don't think I will. Thanks," said the other voice, a little more firmly. But then there's the case of Barty Crouch Sr., not the greatest of men, as we learn throughout the story, but certainly someone with more character than his son. We're being clear, that's a low bar. Much like his son, he is placed under the Imperius Curse, but unlike his son, is able to shake it off after 7 months. Still a lengthy imprisonment, but nowhere near the 13 years it took Barty Crouch Jr. And if you'll notice, even for all of his considerable faults, what allows him to fight the curse is that he's attempting to get to Dumbledore to come clean about everything he had done. Yes, after a while, he began to fight the Imperius Curse, just as I had done. There were periods when he knew what was happening. My father was going to tell Dumbledore everything, to confess. He was going to admit that he had smuggled me from Azkaban. Then there's Cedric Diggory. Like, did you ever wonder in the maze why Barty Crouch Jr. doesn't just Imperius Cedric too? Like, sure, maybe if he just stunned Fleur and Cedric, it would be maybe too suspicious, but he does stun Fleur and then Imperius' Crumb to try and attack Cedric. After that fails, however, why not just Imperius Cedric? He's a legitimate threat to your year-long plan, which is moments away from completion, and by all accounts, Cedric beats Harry to the cup. I'll tell you why. Because just like he did in Harry's class, Barty Crouch would have put Cedric's class under the Imperius Curse too, and he'd have learned that he can't control Cedric. At least not with the curse, though he does have other ways. Who told Cedric to open it underwater? I did. I trusted that he would pass the information on to you. Decent people are so easy to manipulate, Potter. I was sure that Cedric would want to repay you for telling him about the dragons, and so he did. But even by his own admission during his monologue here, he is saying Cedric is a decent person, and it's that very decency that stops him from just taking the cup and winning the tournament, and stops Barty Crouch Jr. from even trying to Imperius him in the first place. Also, in case you're like, how are we sure that Cedric's class got the exact same lesson? Well, it's actually also in the text. I'm not supposed to show you what illegal dark curses look like until you're in the 6th year. Cedric is a 6th year. He definitely got this lesson. I would also draw your attention to Mr. Weasley, yet another man I think we can all agree of outstanding character.
Did you really? How'd it go?
When Barty Crouch Jr. is first introducing the unforgivable curses to the class, he singles out students whose families have been affected by them for the Cruciatus and Killing Curse, with Neville and Harry, respectively. But interestingly, chooses Ron for the Imperius Curse, and even adds this. Said Ron tentatively, my dad told me about one. Is it called the Imperius Curse or something? Ah, yes, said Moody appreciatively. Your father would know about that one. Gave the Ministry a lot of trouble at one time. The Imperius Curse. So, 2 things. First, Mr. Weasley told Ron about just one of these? Like, that seems odd when the 3 are like kind of a package deal. But whatever. And you know what's special about your best friend? He survived one of the unforgivable curses. But that second line is more curious, that his father would know about it. Does that just mean that, like, because he works for the Ministry and the whole Ministry had a problem with the Imperius Curse, that's why he'd be familiar with it? Because that was my initial interpretation. But it could also mean that Mr. Weasley has some more first-hand dealings with it specifically. And not that Arthur was put under it himself. I think that would be pretty hard, but more on that in just a second. But perhaps that Arthur was uniquely capable of handling this curse relative to others due to his high strength of character. That's of course just a theory, but I love a world where the real reason that Arthur is stalled at the Ministry is that he was investigating Imperius Curse cases and condemning characters like Lucius Malfoy. However, Fudge enjoyed the Galleons, so he doesn't let Arthur advance to any position where he could, like, actually make such an accusation. Anyway though, the other clear indicator of that it's all down to strength of character is, and say it with me, the Vila. Yeah, believe it or not, it seems like Vila magic, the magic that makes men desire them in a kind of dumbfounded way, is like a diet version of the Imperius Curse. Here's the initial description of the effects of a Vila. Harry stopped worrying about them not being human. In fact, he stopped worrying about anything at all. Harry's mind had gone completely and blissfully blank. half-formed thoughts started chasing through Harry's dazed mind. He wanted to do something very impressive right now. Jumping from the box into the stadium seemed a good idea, but would it be good enough? Compare that to how Harry describes the Imperius Curse. It was the most wonderful feeling. Harry felt a floating sensation as every thought and worry in his head was wiped gently away, leaving nothing but a vague, untraceable happiness. He stood there feeling immensely relaxed, only dimly aware of everyone watching him. Honestly, that sounds like you told ChatGPT to write the same sentence using all new words. Like, it reads as if Vila magic is like a weaker biological version of the Imperius Curse that specifically affects men and only gives one command: notice and impress me. But do you know who is not affected? Mr. Weasley!
Tell me, what exactly is the function of a rubber duck?
Meanwhile, Ron was absent-mindedly shredding the shamrocks on his hat. Mr. Weasley, smiling slightly, leaned over to Ron and tugged the hat out of his hands. "You'll be wanting that," he said, "once Ireland have had their say." I mean, not that he doesn't polish his glasses to get a better look, but I mean, Molly's not there. I mean, hey, he's not Harry. Cut him some slacks. On the other hand, though, while Harry might have been mesmerized the first time he encounters Avila, after he gets the Imperius training with Moody, he is never affected by Fleur's charms again. While Ron, on the other hand...
You know, I like it when they walk.
Yeah, I don't know if that's the most relatable take ever, Ron. Walk? Now, all of this, I think, is even more interesting because it's this strength of character that makes Harry capable of resisting the Imperius Curse. But on the total flip side, I also think it's the strength of character that actively makes him unable to perform the Cruciatus Curse. The only real time Harry gives this a go is against Bellatrix in the Department of Mysteries after she's killed Sirius, and I would argue this is the singularly most mad, specifically, we will ever see Harry. "Harry, no!" cried Lupin, but Harry had already ripped his arms from Lupin's slackened grip. "She killed Sirius!" bellowed Harry. "She killed him! I'll kill her!" Hatred rose in Harry such as he had never known before. He flung himself out from behind the fountain and bellowed, "Crucio!" But despite this anger, despite even wanting her dead out of sheer rage and anger, it doesn't work. "Never used an unforgivable curse before, have you, boy?" she yelled. She had abandoned her baby voice now. "You need to mean them, Potter. You need to really want to cause pain, to enjoy it. Righteous anger won't hurt me for long. I'll show you how it is done, shall I? I'll give you a lesson." To me, this is the perfect balance and ultimately what we want and get from our hero. Someone noble enough to resist one unforgivable curse and too noble to even successfully cast another. Now, Molly Weasley, on the other hand.
Not my daughter, you.
Codswallop.
Y'all, as always, thank you so much for watching. Be sure to leave all of your thoughts in the towel section down below and like this video and subscribe to the channel if you don't want to miss any future Harry Potter action from us. If you want to know what spell Molly did cast, you can check this video right over here. But otherwise, until next time, bye!